You know that feeling. You check your savings account, you see a few $100 sitting there, and instead of feeling proud, you just kind of feel defeated. It's like you're cutting back, you're making all these sacrifices, and for what? A number that feels like it could get wiped out by one bad Tuesday. Well, today, we're going to break down exactly why that feeling is so common, and more importantly, when it finally changes.
I mean, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that initial frustration. It's this crazy sense of scale. Your efforts feel so tiny compared to this massive goal of financial security. You're doing all the right things, but the feedback you're getting from your bank account is just completely demoralizing.
So that's the big question we're tackling. And listen, it is not just you. There is a deep psychological reason why those early stages of saving feel less like you're building wealth and more like you're playing some frustrating, pointless game that you're just designed to lose. All right, so let's actually give this feeling a name. We're calling this first phase pennies in the canyon. Because let's be honest, that's what it feels like. You're putting in the work, but you just can't see the impact at all.
This is the perfect analogy for this stage. You're playing financial whack-a-mole. It feels like you're not getting ahead at all. You're just playing defense. Every single time you manage to sock a little bit away, life pops up with some unexpected expense. A broken phone, a surprise vet bill, and bam, it smacks you right back down to zero. And this is what that cycle looks like in real life, right? You save $300, you get this little flicker of pride. Then boom, the car needs new tires. So you work for a couple more months. You hit $500. And then poof, your laptop just dies. It's this constant exhausting loop where every single step forward is met with an immediate, frustrating step back. And here's the thing, your brain isn't dumb. It knows that having, say, $800 in the bank doesn't actually make you wealthy. It just means you're not broke. For now, there's a huge psychological difference between those two states, and it's the reason why celebrating these small wins can feel so empty. So, okay, what's really going on here? Why does it feel like you're constantly on the verge of disaster? Well, it all comes down to this idea of money on defense. It's all about what your money's job is during this early stage. Here's the core idea. When your savings are small, every single dollar you have has one job and one job only: defense. Its whole purpose is to shield you from disaster. You're not thinking about growth or investing, you're just thinking about survival. In this chart, man, it just lays it all out. On the left, you've got defensive money. Your whole world is defined by fear and scarcity. The main question bouncing around your head is, how do I avoid disaster? But just look at the right side. Once your money can finally play offense, the entire game changes. Your mindset shifts to growth, it's rooted in opportunity, and the big question becomes, okay, how do I grow this? Okay, so if we're moving from defense to offense, there has to be a line, right? A point where everything flips. And that brings us to the tipping point. There is a specific, tangible number where the entire psychology of saving just completely turns on its head. And that number is $10,000. Now, this isn't just pulled out of thin air. This is the amount where, for most people, that constant nagging feeling of vulnerability starts to disappear and a new feeling of control starts to take its place. And that's what it all boils down to. Below this line, you're basically living on a prayer, just hoping your car doesn't break down or you don't get a surprise bill. But above this line, well, you're not immune to problems, but you're prepared for them. And that preparation changes absolutely everything. And this chart here, it shows something really interesting about how this feels. The psychological jump from having $1,000 to $5,000, it's actually pretty small. You still feel vulnerable deep down. But the leap from $5,000 to $10,000, it feels enormous. That's because you're finally crossing from the vulnerability zone into the stability zone. And this right here is the absolute tragedy of it all. So many people work so hard, they get to $3,000 or $4,000, but they don't feel any different, so they just give up. It's like working out for 2 months, not seeing a six-pack, and deciding exercise is a total scam. They quit right on the edge of the real results. All right, so we know the first 10 grand is the boss level, the hardest part, but it's also the most important. So how should we approach it? Well, this brings us to a really counterintuitive strategy. You have to sprint, not stroll. You know, all the standard advice tells you to go slow and steady, like a marathon. Just save $50 a month. But look at this timeline. At that pace, it would take you 16 years to get across that psychological tipping point. 16 years of feeling like your savings are totally useless. I mean, who has the willpower for that?
But now, look at this. This is the sprint. If you can find a way to save aggressively, let's say $1,000 a month, you hit that breakthrough in just 10 months. You spend less than a single year in that demoralizing danger zone, which radically increases your chances of actually sticking with it.
So here's the big takeaway. The one thing you need to remember from this: slow and steady is terrible advice for this first phase. The first $10,000 is not a marathon. It's a sprint across a dangerous battlefield. Your goal isn't to pace yourself. It's to get to the other side as fast as humanly possible before you get taken out by financial shrapnel.
So how do you actually do this? It takes a complete flip in how you think. Most people, they try to save what's left over after all their spending. The aggressive saver does the exact opposite. They decide their savings goal first, and then they force their lifestyle to fit whatever's left. Yeah, it means making temporary, intense sacrifices because the goal here is speed, not long-term comfort. And this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, and honestly, it's the most important part of all. Because once you get across that $10,000 line, the real prize isn't just the cash, it's something much, much deeper. It's about forging a whole new financial identity for yourself. Because this is the real prize. The money is great, it's a tool, but the real transformation, it's all internal. Crossing that threshold proves to yourself, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you are capable of doing hard things. It fundamentally changes how you see yourself, and that change is permanent. I mean, look at this difference. This is the identity shift we're talking about. Before, you might have told yourself, yeah, I'm trying to be good with money. That's an aspiration, a hope. But after you sprint to $10,000, you get to say, I am good with money. That's not a hope anymore. It's a fact. And that new identity will shape every single financial decision you make for the rest of your life. And that's what it all comes down to, right? You escape that cycle of fear and just reacting to things. You go from being a victim of your financial circumstances to being the person in the driver's seat. The entire power dynamic between you and your money permanently flips in your favor. So I want you to leave with this thought. Think of that first $10,000 differently. It's not just an emergency fund. It's not just some number on an app. It is the down payment on a new version of yourself, a version that's in control, confident, and capable. So the real question isn't whether you can afford to save it, it's whether you're ready to become that person.